Yuan Ming. I hope you had a beautiful holiday season and you all are well, healthy, happy. I hope you can all be calm and relaxed and natural. We all are here together to increase the ability to establish this state in us and to experience life in health, happiness, and wisdom, so we can help ourselves and others to get to the state of relaxed, enjoy calm, and simply be ourselves naturally. How is your Yuan practice going? The pattern today that we work on, greed. One word fits very well after a holiday season, I reckon. The pattern of greed is far more reaching than what we would understand with the one word. It's very complex. You might see that also at the little text that I'm trying to keep as short as possible as a conclusion that I use for my email send out or for the descriptions under the YouTube recording. This time the text has gotten a little longer. I tried everything to shorten it, but because this pattern is so very complex to understand, it turned out the way it is. When we observe all the ramifications of greed, you know, the chances are that when you sit in a class of Renshö, you are probably a person that is not really interested in owning a big yacht and drinking champagne every day and driving a car only to drive it because of it being a status symbol for a society that thinks richness is power or beauty in the material or money sense. So chances are, this is what I've observed when Janse brought us all these patterns and I read them first. I sort of just flapped over greed because I thought, oh, well, greed doesn't completely concern me. And then when I finally got to actually looking at it and working with it, it was quite an eye-opener. It was, wow, really? And I thought I didn't have to look into that pattern too much. I thought I didn't have to go and, that's me. That's certainly part of my false identifications. So, mainly greed, when we look at it, we really need to connect with our hearts and our compassion for self and love for self. It's a very, very interesting dynamic of the seesaw, yeah, the seesaw of pain and pleasure. Who of you did not like to play this game as a child, or maybe still sitting on a seesaw with another child on the other side, pushing yourself off the floor, going up into the air, and the other one goes down while the other child is pushing itself off the floor. So then itself goes up in the air and you come down. And so this is how we go forth and back with one another. This is exactly actually how greed develops. And we will hear about it later on. And when we listen to Jance's explanations and observations about it. But I have taken a bit more time because I find it so interesting, this pattern. And I found so many aspects of it in my life. And also, for me, it seems to be the opposite on that seesaw of avoiding and hiding. So, because we avoid and hide, greed seems to develop. Of course, this is one reason. Yeah. So, we have this avoiding and hiding going on, the running away from fears, the trying to not get in touch with what we experienced as a child, maybe as a form of lack, not having enough of, um, and thinking that we need it, wanting something. So this can be on all levels, right? Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, even. And or also, if we're only interested in one thing, but not want to fulfill other things, so we're trying to avoid them. Also, greed is usually something we really want to hide because our inherent nature, the true self, knows, hey, you don't need that actually. And we sort of easily fall into a different pattern here of shame or guilt because in this understanding, how we in Renshe see greed, it is this pain and pleasure, getting away from pain and covering it up or coping with the pain with pleasure, be it, adrenaline, endorphin producing behavior, sports, studying through the mind, learning more and more and more, never feeling like we have enough of information that we can attain through reading only or hearing. So, I mean, linear education or information that brings us approval from others, yeah, like accolades or prizes or some form of validation in the society. Coping mechanisms with an inner emptiness. So, food, drugs, coffee, alcohol, gambling, playing in itself. If it's not gambling for money, then it might be just playing. And please, it's important to not allow the pattern of polarization come in here, or overgeneralization, like, you know, all playing is bad, or all social contexts are bad. I have to be internal, internal, internal. Um, to understand the balance of pain and pleasure, and to get to a place of balance, we need to really truly understand ourselves and what the true needs of a human being are. And then we can find a place of balance in, playing or eating or drinking, social gatherings. I also think that this pattern is a really interesting pattern to look at, especially right now, when we could make some attempts about why it is that we are all experiencing a pandemic as it is, that keeps us at home, that keeps us having to be with ourselves a lot, and finding out how this is if we cannot engage in all the pleasure seeking behavior so much. A really interesting dynamic. Um, this pattern is certainly something that also increases our avoiding and hiding, because we would like to not, pleasure. It gives us pleasure. Oh, yeah, sex is also a big topic, of course, with this pattern. um, just by the way, jumped into my head. Um, pleasure gives us pleasure, all sorts of pleasure, right? And why would we not pursue more pleasure? It keeps the pain away. So to even see how the false self could keep us in its fangs, under its control, away from our freedom, it's a crucial pattern, I would reckon, to look into. And it also, of course, brings up a lot of resistance, because why would we want to give up our pleasure, which is, if we do not experience a unified state, if we do not experience when our body, our chi, our shen, our heart consciousness, and our consciousness is one with one another and one with others and one with the chi field and one with the universe, if we feel separate from the bigger, the higher, the whatever you call it, you personally call the universe, the bigger, the law-giving instance, if we do not experience this state of unity, which, if you do experience it, this deep relaxation, calm, and freedom, the inner peace, it will be the only place where you will experience niceness, pleasure, I mean. So if you do not experience unification, you probably only experience feeling good and comfortable and well when you experience pleasure. It's a big, big topic in our consciousness. So if you want to work with greed, re-listen today's poems, I almost wanted to say, information from Janse about it, or you can uh, read under the recording here in YouTube. You will read it in the description. You can read it there or in the emails if you have them from me as a short touch up, a summing up, like a conclusion or a quick essence of the pattern of greed. It is also a really important pattern to be at ease with and to be with oneself, because you will encounter this a lot in humans as certain fears of why we humans behave with one another or why countries behave with one another. It's all this fear of lack, of not having enough on many levels of human nature. So it tends to be a very good pattern to practice compassion with. Compassion and empathy, to understand where someone comes from, and to practice love and compassion, to get out of the judgmentalness, out of judging, and into compassion, into unconditional love, and of course, trust, that we can keep trusting humans. To understand oneness, this pattern will invite us to a lot. The oneness that if I have a lot and others have much less, is not going to give me more. It is going to make me have less, because I will experience a bigger separation from the oneness with others. So then we're going to focus on the information from Janse for now. As I'm doing Ling Yuan every day, my pleasure-seeking behavior around the family holidays, I actually zonked out 5 days. 5 days I didn't do practice. And well, I was sort of caught up with family stuff, and it wasn't my family's fault. It was just me going, well, they don't have to practice. That's the false self, obviously, because what I get from my practice is very clear now, by now over the years. But it was just like this, I just want to play with my brother, and I want to play with the baby of my other brother, and I want to eat all the yummy food that my mom prepared, and the cookies and the chocolate that everybody keeps bringing into the house at Christmas, and things like that. And then the sugar itself does something to the system, to Shen, to the heart. So you immediately want more of it. Well, at least I do. So, yes, this pattern around Christmas is a great one, or around the holiday season and, New Year's. I guess also the New Year's resolutions that seem to often not work, or why it's just a topic about this time of the year. It might be because in the mathematical mind, it's another different year. It's just another moment in life, actually. It's just another moment or day in life. It's at least me. So, but so this pattern really finds its space right away, going, oh, great, I'm going on a holiday. And I'm just going to let everything, let the pleasure come in and let the pleasure go in. So, and then when the holidays go past and, all of a sudden Mom stops cooking all the special dinners, etc. I don't know how it is in your family. Maybe you're over this whole um, dynamic of pain and pleasure already. Um, yeah, I used to have Christmases without my families, and there it was just a day like any other, and I didn't miss anything. Not at all, actually. For me, it's the opposite. This is actually even more difficult to join in all these traditions that seem to be increasing this pattern, strengthen it. But we'll have to take it with acceptance. And I practiced acceptance and um, not rebelling against these sort of traditions and behaviors within my family. So there's many shades that we can um, apply here as well, many hard qualities. Nonetheless, dependencies would be falling into this, addictions would be falling into this topic as well. Dependencies of others in a way that we really lose our calm, relaxed, and natural state if we don't have it. So, like with everything, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of pleasure as long as we are in the state of relaxed, calm, and natural. When we lose that state, when we lose our heart and fall into shame, guilt, or wanting more and more of it and not being content anymore with what we have, or if we have the feeling of not having enough, this is when I would recommend to work deeper with this pattern, which we are going to do this week. It, of course, also invites us to look into our pain. And if it's really that scary, or if pain is this amazing gift that we can use as a driving force to attain more wisdom. Now the chi field and the universe have done it again. I didn't want to speak so much about it because that's why I wrote the bigger text this time. And we have a lot of information to get through. But there's one more thing. Since we're in pleasure, we have a very, very special thing happening today. We can actually listen to a song all together now because there's no copyright issue with YouTube, because this song is self-composed and self-performed by one of our Renshu brothers. A fellow Renshu practitioner has composed and written this song and has shared it with me a few days ago, and I was like, oh, can I have that one? So it doesn't need to be a song before class. We can actually use it to go into a deeper, calmer state. So we're going to do that. He has named this song Calm Resolve. His name, also the composer's name, is Kogo from Sweden. And he's super happy for us to have this. Maybe he's even here today or will watch the recording. So Kogo's song of Calm Resolve. We're going to first build the chi field and connect with the oneness and the total reality of chi and wisdom. And then we're just going to allow ourselves to sink deeper and deeper into ourselves with the song. And then we'll listen to the information of Yangtze. We can do with a bit of calm. The pattern is not so easy to look at. So again, this song is something to overcome our resistance, or this, I don't want to do practice today, or no, I don't want to do Ling Yuan, or no, I can't do Ling Yuan. I never get any information. Or no, I don't want to do pattern work. No, I don't even want to go to class. Um, I don't know if you've been aware, becoming aware of the more we work with the patterns now, or since we only work with patterns, the number of views have gone down quite dramatically. But we who are here now, you are listening, we won't be bothered by that. The chi field is still, every human being is part of it, because Renshu is for humanity. And remember, every pattern you manage to free yourself of, you are doing a big service to every other human in the world. Because if your consciousness doesn't send out this information, we don't strengthen it in the whole world. And we all together can do with a little bit less fear and definitely with a little less greed. Do you agree? I can feel your heart. Thank you. I can. So let's look straight forward. If you can, please sit up for this part. Allow your body to go into a state in which chi can gather best and rise up from lower dantian to your heart, the Shinling, and your true self center, the upper dantian. And look straight forward. Draw your vision back and relax the whole body. Lift Hui in to lower dantian. Keep relaxing. Now connect with your heart. You have turned into chi. Expand out your awareness. You are expanding and you become the whole universe. You are flowing into the chi of the universe. You are flowing into the wisdom and love of the universe. You have become one with the original information and chi of the universe. You have become one with Tao. You have become one with all, and you have become one with all the support of the universe. You are receiving everything that you truly, truly need. There is plenty to go around for everybody and everything to be nourished and to have and receive what we all truly need. Surrender to the universe. Your pain and your fear trust the universe and its support and its supply for you and for everyone and everything. Allow the universe to nourish you with everything. Allow it to flow in to your heart, together with the music. Prepare yourself for some sound coming in as well now. Greed or greediness. The origins and background. The evolution and development of the human species. Two core conditions made the survival of the human species possible: the fulfillment of material needs and the fulfillment of Jingsheng needs. Jingsheng is the spiritual or the spirit level. They are the driving forces that continually move civilization forward. For human civilization to develop to today's level, survival and develop played central roles. Survival is the prerequisite for development. The need to survive has been the greatest, most rudimentary driving force for the continuation and development of human life. This driving force manifests as all the desires and actions to procure what is needed for survival. The survival of individuals or groups that have more resources will be more assured than those with less. The desire to survive and live better keeps driving humans to procure more and more. Generation after generation, we humans have been driven by the basic need and desire to keep increasing our chance to survive and live a better life. Even today, this desire has not diminished. On the contrary, it has grown stronger and stronger. What we desire has far exceeded what we need to survive. Our desire has grown incessantly and to a level that can never be satisfied. The instinctive consciousness of desire has become greed consciousness. Once greed consciousness forms a habit, it becomes a pattern of greediness. Once greed is linked to survival, it becomes a rudimentary driving force. Eventually, the greed becomes a necessary condition for survival. Life that follows this trajectory is not only detrimental to survival, but also poses a huge obstacle for healthy development. Avoiding and hiding is being triggered. Note, the pattern of greediness is distinctly different from the normal and positive intention to create a healthy and good life. Let's look at a story about our cousins, the monkeys. In Algeria lived a group of monkeys. They often stole rice from the local farmers, causing a lot of trouble. Someone came up with an idea for dealing with the monkeys, and the others agreed. They made bottles with narrow spouts that were just wide enough for the monkey's hand to go in, and then tied these bottles to a big tree. Inside the bottles was rice that the monkeys liked. The monkeys would put their hands into these bottles to reach for the rice, but couldn't pull them back out because of the rice in their hands. The farmers trapped the monkeys this way. Strictly speaking, the monkeys stole only for their own survival. Human greed can go far beyond that. Number 2, basic instincts and needs on the level of human nature. As mentioned previously, one of the core tendencies of human nature is to seek benefit and interest and avoid harm, seek simplicity or an easy solution and avoid complexity or extra work. Humans use all sorts of ways, including searching, procuring, fighting, and competing to maximize self-interest and security in the simplest and easiest way in the shortest possible amount of time. This tendency can be strengthened by frequently responding to external factors or influences following this mentality and behavior. Eventually, this approach becomes a fixture in the consciousness or a pattern of greediness. As the pattern continues to be reinforced, its influence will reflect back on human nature and, in a sense, contaminating human nature. The contaminated human nature can, in turn, drive the consciousness to further development and to further develop this pattern. Eventually, it is very likely that human nature will become twisted and a vicious cycle with the pattern is formed. Just keep connecting to your heart. We see, even with only this paragraph, how crucial it is that every single one of us, of humanity, every single one, we need to look at this, because we keep increasing the information of greediness, and it's really destructive. So Yance is really quite direct here with this pattern. And if we are honest, we will feel a few stings there. Now remember, compassion for your own self, and the stings are necessary because then we can further change it and we have the driving force. We can have this recognition, I don't want to be like this, and I don't want to send this out from my consciousness into the G field of humanity. I don't want to increase this information out there in the universe. We can only all do it ourselves. So that's why I have the big heart up here today in the background. Keep with your heart, keep loving yourself, but keep being honest. Also remember, you don't need to remember anything of this text in only phrases. Just keep listening with your heart. Whatever needs to go in today will go in. It's better to repetitively work with the information. And your heart and Shen will tell you each time where you need to go today in this moment and which realizations you allowed to receive from the universe. Number 3, social and cultural environment. Over a long period of time, human society developed a strong social consciousness and a cultural force that upholds and worships wealth, power, status, and fame, making these external pursuits the main goals of life. This force has grown so strong that today it has become a powerful cultural phenomenon that is constantly influencing the whole of society and every individual in it. It can be found in consumerism, celebrity culture, dirty politics, elitism, corruption, war, and cruelty. With the availability of technology, information can be spread very effectively to the whole world. We are exposed to all kinds of advertisements through all kinds of media every day. Everyone is competing in the attention economy, trying to incite our desire to want them. These or the external goals mentioned above are now considered the standards for success. Defining success by how well you achieve these goals has become the social norm. Since no one wants to be seen as a failure or loser, this social consciousness and value system has prompted people to adopt this peculiar notion of success. For example, for thousands of years in Chinese society, getting promoted to a higher rank of office and making more money has been seen as one of the core values or goals to achieve in life. Yanzi is being really humble here. He's talking in Chinese society. Is it really only Chinese society? Being such a dominant value in human culture and society, it inevitably has had a huge impact on the individual's value system and the individual's view of life. When an individual identifies with such values, those values become internalized in the consciousness and the patterns of the consciousness. The individual's consciousness will then help strengthen the social consciousness and values. A cycle forms that becomes stronger and stronger. Can you see now how the avoiding and hiding plays in so much here? Because society has become so powerful with these twisted or distorted values, and we all want to be part of society. So, how do we not fall into this so very easily? If we want to feel whole, we have to trust ourselves. Number 4, family environment. A family is a unit of society. There is no doubt that family environment exerts a comprehensive and far-reaching influence on family members, especially the children. Every person growing up in a family environment is subject to its influence. All kinds of information can be received from the family environment. Although much of it is well intended, the values that are imparted to children are not always sound and beneficial to life. For example, as a girl, you might have received a large amount of information about the princess and have the dream of becoming a princess, while as a boy, your dream might have been to become a prince or a hero or a gallant. As we grew older, we received information such as how important it is to do well at school and become a successful person when we grow up. We might also have received information about how important it is to have the ability to make money and become successful if we want to be respected by others or simply to have a happy life. We might also have received information about how important it is to work hard to earn our keep and gradually accumulate wealth. The harder we work, the closer we will come to success. The value of hard work we learned cannot be overemphasized. It is important to have ambition. Being complacent about what you have now is not good enough. It is a sign of weakness. Without ambition and the effort to gain more, you are wasting your life. Information of the above type is not just communicated through verbal expression, but also via real action. Parents demonstrate these values through their real action, and their children gradually adopt them. Remember to keep hope in your heart. Remember that your consciousness is powerful. Remember that when your consciousness doesn't send this out, you increase the healthy and beneficial for life information. Let's look at number 5, the education. Education has become the instrument for gaining the knowledge and skills needed to establish a footing in society. For many, income and social status are the main considerations when deciding what to focus on in their education and how to achieve them in the easiest way in the shortest possible time. Through the education system, people not only acquire the knowledge and skills they want for realizing their external goals in life, but also they get the opportunity to learn how to maximize their gain and self-interest. I need to repeat this. So not only do we receive or acquire, so acquire the knowledge and the skills how to realize these external goals, we also have the opportunity to learn how to even maximize the gain and the self-interest. Students are constantly told how important it is to keep pushing themselves to achieve more and more. The value of pursuing external goals as the way to become a successful person gets reinforced through their education. So remember, we're still in the origins and formation of this information. Number 6, the personal factors. As with all the other patterns, without the personal factor working alongside external factors, the pattern of greediness cannot develop. So the personal factor is necessary. We could all just not become insecure and say no to all of that, right? Even as a child. But so we don't have the wisdom as a child. So we obviously we listen to what we are being told by family, environment, and our own needs from deep inside. Hmm? Shen and consciousness have self-awareness, autonomy, initiative, and freedom. To a large extent, they determine the condition of the consciousness and the formation of the patterns. So the self-awareness, the autonomy, the initiative, and the freedom that our Shen and consciousness have. They determine to a big degree the formation of the patterns, which in turn have great influence on the formation of a person's value system and view of life. The formed value system and view of life can, in turn, have influence on the consciousness, including the development of the patterns of the consciousness. A circular movement develops with mutual interaction and mutual influence. Every person's Shen and consciousness interact with external influences differently. Therefore, even when people are under exactly the same influences, each will develop a unique value system and view of life. When a person's Shen and consciousness is doing well at exercising its self-awareness, autonomy, initiative, and freedom, it means that their intrinsic abilities are well manifested. This puts them in a better position to improve clarity and come to more awareness, understanding, and realization, which will help establish sound values and a sound view of life. So we get to the common and specific manifestations. Greed refers to the strong, insatiable desire to keep procuring external, natural, and social resources such as wealth and fame, and acting upon this desire. Greed is fundamentally harmful. It is fundamentally harmful to individuals, to society, and to nature. The pattern of greediness, to a large extent, manifests as allowing one's ever growing greed to dominate the activities of consciousness and life. Ultimately, the pattern can develop into something like a special faith or religion, that becomes the core value, meaning, and goal of life. The formation of greed is extremely complex. Apart from the causes mentioned above, let's look at some other related ones. One, the values and the view of life. What drives a person to allow basic instinctual needs to develop into ever-growing greed is A, the desire to live a better life, in combination with B, the view that the greatest value and meaning of life is to pursue external goals. External pursuits are seen as the way to a healthy, happy, and growing life. However, the marriage of these two views, so to lead a better life and to have the meaning of life found through external goals, is a mistake and is destined to end poorly. This is why establishing a healthy and sound value system and view of life is so crucial if we want to grow and to be a constructive member of society and nature. How else does this pattern manifest? The feedback loop of action and reward. Ideas and pattern give rise to action. So first we have an idea resulting from the pattern, the thoughts inside, the automatic ways, and then we do things, we take action. Action can create rewarding effects such as good feelings, satisfaction, or comfort of the body and mind. These effects will carry forward and become a driving force to continue or even step up the action to maintain or heighten the rewarding effects. Yeah, so this is where the pleasure comes in. The more pleasure we feel, the more we want of it, of course. Another manifestation and formation of this pattern is through comparing. In a society where external goals are used to measure success, comparing oneself with others can drive people to adopt external goals and work hard for them. Everyone wants to protect their dignity. No one likes to be seen as a failure or loser. We don't feel good when compared with friends, colleagues, schoolmates, neighbors, or relatives. We find that they are better in achieving these external goals. Comparing ourselves with others, therefore, becomes a motivation to work harder to achieve the external goals. Number 4, compensation. Extreme poverty or scarcity and traumatic experiences can sometimes play a role in the development of the pattern of greediness. Certain psychological or mental imbalances, such as a strong sense of insecurity, hiding and avoiding, can drive people to acquire more and more in order to maintain a sense of balance. So this could also be spiritually, right? Especially since when we are very poor. A person may feel the need to compensate for early deprivation, or a person may feel the need to keep gaining wealth and power to prove his worth, to be seen as successful and respected or admired. The pattern of greediness can manifest in many areas other than wealth and power. For example, in the insatiable desire to look young or to overindulge in pleasures such as sex, food, alcohol, a luxurious lifestyle, etc. It can also manifest as feeling that things, including the physical environment and people, are never good enough. Please note, this is a very complex issue that is also somewhat related to perfectionism. So here our beloved Yanzi is throwing in a story to make it all a bit easier to digest. Let's use two parables to learn more about this pattern. Parable story number 1. 3 caterpillars want to cross a river to look for nectar. Caterpillar A said, "Let's find a bridge to cross the river." Caterpillar B said, "Let's make a boat to cross the river." Caterpillar C said, "We have walked a long way and we are all exhausted. Why don't we stay here and rest for a couple of days before deciding what to do next?" The other 2 caterpillars were surprised to hear the rest for to rest for 2 days. "Are you kidding? Can't you see that the nectar on the other side of the river is almost gone?" Caterpillar A and B immediately started into action. Caterpillar C found herself a comfortable and safe place and rested. When she woke up, she realized she had become a beautiful butterfly, and she gently flapped her wings, and in no time she was on the other side of the river. Flowers were everywhere, and so was abundant, sweet nectar. However, she flew all over the place trying to find her companions, but couldn't because one died from exhaustion and the other one drowned. So sometimes rest is good. Sometimes when we are on this path to attaining our true self, we are being planted by the universe planted to rest, planted to go internal, planted to simply observe and trust and not to exhaust ourselves. Parable number 2. An old monk took 2 young monks with him to town. On the way, the old monk pointed to a withered tree and said, "Which do you think is better for this tree? To continue to wither or to become lusher?" One of the young monks said, "Of course, to becoming lusher is better." The old monk shook his head and said, "Being lush will eventually come to an end." On hearing that, the other young monk said, "I think it is better that it continues to wither." The old monk, of course, shook his head again and said, "Withering will also eventually come to an end." At this time, another monk happened to come along, so the old monk asked him the same question. This monk thought for a moment and said, "If it withers, let it wither. If it becomes lush, let it become lush." The old monk nodded and said, "You are right. Let things follow their nature. Don't get attached." We live in a time when many people have to work extremely hard and fight in many ways for survival. Letting go and going with the natural movement is also a way to live, and probably a much better way, as you can experience more freedom and enjoyment. Of course, going with the natural movement does not mean waiting passively. Neither is it being totally at the mercy of fate or destiny. It is definitely not blindly following mainstream society. Rather, it is the principle of. So, we're going to listen to the principles right away, but I just want to point this out one more time because this phrase I think is written very complex, very difficult. So, what that means is going with the natural movement and the natural flow does not mean wait passively, to be completely passive. And neither it is to be in the understanding of, well, I'm totally at the will of my fate or my destiny. And also it is not to be blindly following mainstream society. So we're going to look at the principles that seem to be healthier, meaning following the laws closer. Be positive and have an open and natural attitude toward the present and the future. Do your best whenever doing something, and at the same time, have a natural attitude towards both the process and the outcome, regardless of how they unfold. I'm going to repeat this one more time. Be positive and have an open and natural attitude toward the present and the future. Do your best whenever doing something, and at the same time have a natural attitude towards both the process and the outcome, regardless of how they unfold. To be more precise, it is allowing things to be what they are and go the way they go. Whatever we do, we constantly adjust ourselves to maintain inner balance, inner peace, and freedom. When we keep life in this state, the quality of life will naturally be ensured. This is the essence of following nature. When we are able to follow nature, our thinking will be light and our mental burden will be eased. Pressure and stress will be relieved. The validity and advantage of the pattern of greediness. The pattern of greediness manifests as a mindset of never enough and of insatiable desire. What are the possible advantages of this pattern? Number one, the desire to want more drives people to be more ambitious and to do more and achieve more. Number two, for people who do not have other goals or driving force, this desire at least provides something to live for, a sense of purpose, and a driving force to keep them going. Number three, for people who feel insecure due to certain causes, this desire can provide a sense of assurance and security. 4. For people who feel severely deprived, this desire can provide a sense of hope. This phrase always makes me so connect with my heart. It so opens my heart. You know, for people who feel severely deprived, this desire of greed can provide a sense of hope. Number 5, for those who eagerly want other people's approval and recognition, this desire offers the possibility of achieving things that might win the approval and recognition they seek. Number 6, from the perspective of society as a whole, when many people have a strong desire to gain more and more, additional wealth will be created, which contributes to the development of the material aspect of human civilization. So Janse didn't write that here, but of course, when we have so much that we are secure on the material level, we actually have more time for the internal work. which brings us to the possible negative effects of the pattern. Generally speaking, the pattern of greediness is detrimental to individuals, society, or nature. How does this never enough, never satisfied, and more is better mentality cause harm? Let's look at this further. When the pattern of greediness is active, you will always feel what you have is not enough and is not good enough. You will compare yourself to others and feel jealous about others having more or having better. You will set yourself on the path of forever trying to find ways to satisfy your desires. More money, more things, more friends, more connections, more pleasures. You will always be yearning for opportunities that might move you further along this path and worry about missing out on things. Everything is added to the comparison list: house, car, spouse, children. Everything that you wish for must come true without exception. You care very much about how others see you and judge you and what they say about you. You can never let them think you are not good enough, not good looking enough, not competent enough, not smart enough. However, this endless pursuit never brings a true sense of contentment and peace. The emptiness inside can never be filled. No matter how much you already have, you are always haunted by the feeling of inadequate, lacking, and needing more. It is hard to experience real joy. At most, you get to feel superficial pleasure or fleeting happiness. The pattern of greediness drives you to always focus outside and cuts off your connection with yourself. You are unable to truly get to know yourself and appreciate yourself, let alone recognize the worth of your own life. Number 2, although the goal of accumulating more wealth and resources when propelled by greed can provide a huge driving force for life, it is not a sound goal. It is not a sound goal because it could lead to a process and outcome that are not truly beneficial for individual life, not beneficial for society, and not beneficial for nature. Number 3, greed drives us to take action to get what we want and get more of it. Action means putting time and energy into these pursuits, and in many cases, sacrificing. For example, sacrificing time with family and friends, doing things we enjoy, and even the most precious assets of life, such as health, happiness, well being, and freedom. Furthermore, when pursuing an external goal as the most important thing of life, we can become controlled by it. We will become obsessed with the loss or gain, and it will dictate how we feel. When we gain, we feel happy for some time. When we lose, we feel a great deal of sorrow. When we gain, we are afraid to lose. And when we lose, we are obsessed with reversing our loss. This way of living brings a lot of uncertainty and insecurity to life. If in the end, after investing so much of our life and making so much sacrifice, we haven't gotten what we want, we could be left with a strong sense of failure, frustration, disappointment, and hopelessness. At this point, we might feel like we have truly lost everything. For on a larger scale, if most human beings made the pursuit of external goals the main purpose of their lives, what would happen to society and to the world? The answer is actually very clear because humans have been on this path for thousands of years. So, how has it worked? Greed reduces human behavior to the law of the jungle. To get what we want, we turn others, in some cases, even our family and friends, into enemies. We play games with each other and trust. I'm sorry. We play games with each another, and distrust is bred. We are breeding distrust. The tragedy of humans killing fellow humans simply to procure more wealth and resources has been going on for thousands of years and continues to this day. 5. Why are we humans so obsessed with pursuing wealth and power? Apart from the basic need for survival, it is to achieve good health, happiness, and a sense of well-being. Many people believe that having wealth and power is the way to achieve this. It is true that when we have wealth and power, we may receive attention and recognition, and we will feel valued and honored. And we seem to have more choices and freedom too. However, little do people know that this good feeling can be like fireworks or a beautiful sunset. As eye-dazzling and glorious as they may seem, they will disappear in a blink of an eye. The apparent choices and freedom are not real choices and freedom. Besides, these people eventually realize that the higher you go, the colder it gets. Their lives may not be as ideal as others imagine. And the pressures they have could very well be at a level most people would find difficult to bear. Furthermore, often these people can be subject to jealousy and even hatred from the people around them. Imagine being surrounded by such people. The most devastating consequence of the pattern of greediness is probably the destruction of the environment. The resources Mother Earth provides are for all lives on Earth to survive and enjoy a healthy and happy living. They should be used to meet basic needs, provide a comfortable life, and serve as the foundation upon which humanity builds and develops civilization. However, the world seems to be following a different direction. In society today, desires of all kinds run rampant. Our greed for things we want is growing bigger and bigger. To satisfy this need, the resources of the earth are being taken in the most outrageous way, and we humans are pillaging the earth. The result is that the fragile ecosystem and limited resources are in crisis. More and more people are getting worried. The pattern of greediness is at the root of this crisis. Connect with your heart. Isn't it beautiful to look at everything so openly? Isn't it beautiful how we get to see so clearly what we can do, we personally, inside of ourselves? It is very enjoyable to gain clarity about this, isn't it? Number 5, the possible replacement patterns. Learn to value what you have already. Cultivate the 5 Shin qualities, so the 5 heart qualities, especially gratitude. Relate to everything from the perspective of appreciation rather than finding fault and seeing what's not good about it. Constantly appreciate everything you have in your life, including all of the people, what is happening in your life, and the material things you get to enjoy. Learn to discover the goodness and the beauty in even the smallest and seemingly insignificant things, and be grateful for their contribution to your life. Cultivate the sense of contentment and cultivate the sense of well-being generated from gratitude. Count your blessings and constantly remind yourself how fortunate you are. Practice being in the present and connect with your own heart. And from your heart, connect with everything else. Decisions involving self-interest should be taken seriously. What do you consider when you make a decision? And how do you measure loss and gain? Do you always consider how to maximize self-interest and achieve that goal? Do you always focus mainly on what can I get from this? Or what is good for me in this? Perhaps try to consider interest from a broader perspective, including other people's interests, and from the perspective of fairness and the balance of giving and receiving. Life is a process of constantly weighing what is lost and what is gained, and what should be taken on and what should be let go of. These concerns deserve our lifelong attention and will take a lifetime to master. 3. For us human beings, it is necessary to have a clear goal for life. If not, life can lose its direction and lack the driving force to move forward. I would like to repeat this. For us human beings, it is necessary to have a clear goal for life. If not, life can lose its direction and lack the driving force to move forward. If pursuing external goals to satisfy greed is not the most beneficial thing for life, it is possible, or is it then possible to find a goal or purpose that is beneficial for individuals, family, society, and nature as a whole? If not driven by greed, what can we be driven by? What are the values and convictions that can guide us to higher goals in life? This is something each person will have to think through and find their own answer. Recognize the truth that every person deserves whatever is needed to carry out a decent, basic life, and with that, achieve health, happiness, and growth. Wealth, fame, or power do not have a direct link to these essentials. The essentials being health, happiness, and growth. Furthermore, no matter how much wealth, fame, or power we have gained, we can't take any of them with us when we die. Our children and grandchildren have their own life course to follow. No matter how much we leave them, fundamentally, it will not change their law of life. What should we leave our children and grandchildren? We should leave them what is truly valuable. The understanding of how a life of value should manifest. What is true wealth? Is there wealth that can bring true benefit to humanity and society? Where can we find this wealth? These are questions each person will have to think through and find their own answers to. We come to this world not just to survive and live. We need to prove that the life we have is valuable and meaningful. Every person needs to find her own truth in this. What we recognize as our true value and meaning of life not only lays the foundation and ground for a healthy Jing Shen, so healthy spirit, healthy consciousness, but also it provides the strength we need to overcome challenges and to move forward in life. Yeah, so the meaning of life and the value, the true value of life, provides the strength that we need to overcome the challenges so we can move forward in life. We also need to think about how to achieve meaningful goals in a way that doesn't deprive us of the relaxed, calm, and natural state. Otherwise, how can the process remain beneficial to health and life? It is time to shift the paradigm of human development. Currently, competition is the main way to advance in every aspect of society. From primitive times, humans have had to compete with one another for the limited resources they need for survival and development. However, we humans have come a long way. We are in the 21st century and no longer in the Stone Age. We have enough resources, technology, and wealth for all human beings to live in a dignified way if resources and wealth are used and distributed in a sound way. We humans can gradually shift from the law of the jungle, killing each other to gain resources or maintain dominance, to a model of harmony. Through working together, everybody would benefit and win. This model is not only more efficient in the use of resources, but also beneficial for maintaining world peace and safety. I am participating in an economy system since a few weeks, which is called the gifting economy. If you're interested in it, give me a shout out and I can send you some information. It's exactly about all of this, how we humans can all live together in a meaningful way while we give and receive, help each other and support each other instead of fighting each other or competing. It is very beautiful to be part of this gifting economy. Here is one more replacement information from Janse. It is evident that the way we humans treat nature is a path to self-destruction. The need for individuals to achieve health, happiness, and growth, and the need for human civilization to progress are both urgent. What can each individual do to ensure the well-being of both? What role should we play? How can each individual contribute? This is something every person should take seriously and figure out for themselves. Which brings us to the conclusion. The pattern of greediness has a strong connection with basic needs on a deep level of human nature. It is a tenacious and deeply entrenched pattern. Changing it requires consistent work in many areas of life. The challenge of changing this pattern does not only lie in changing our thoughts and views, but also in the real decisions one has to make related to self-interest. This is very crucial. The challenge of changing this pattern does not only lie in changing our thoughts and views, but also in the real decisions one has to make related to self-interest. At times, there might be great struggle in making the right decision. Nevertheless, we can start in a few key areas. For example, examining our value system and view of life and improving them when necessary. We can also focus on the cultivation of the 5 Shin, the 5 heart qualities, especially gratitude and respect. Other Shin qualities such as empathy and kindness are also important. Establish the mindset of totality, seeing oneself as part of humanity and nature, all sharing the same destiny. This is how we can orient ourselves towards living in a way that is based on values such as support, love, and harmony, and hence beneficial for us all. What is most lacking and urgently needed is a social consciousness that facilitates the development of the Jingshen level and the progress of human civilization. We need an environment with a social consciousness that is characterized by friendliness and kindness and facilitates the development of health, happiness, sense of well-being, and a growing life. What is also missing in the deep realization that is needed for humans to develop a harmonious and mutually enhancing relationship with nature. We humans should always bear in mind that the real goals of life are health, happiness, a sense of well-being, and growth. These cannot be achieved by greed. Rather, these are treasures that can only be found within. As we try to achieve these goals, we should always keep ourselves in check. We should always keep ourselves in check to see if we are getting closer or farther away from the goals of health, happiness, sense of well-being, and growth. When life is not dictated by endless greed and desires, our true self will manifest and our Shinling will be clean, pure, and beautiful. It can finally enjoy being truly light and free. And finally, Yanzi has put a few Chinese sayings here to conclude the chapter with wisdom. Giving brings more happiness than receiving. The tighter the grip, the greater the loss. To gain more, one needs to first let go. Fortune favors fools. The universe takes good care of fools. Contentment is the key to constant happiness. Now please go ahead and sit up again. The chi field is very dense in a very, very beautiful quality. Draw your vision back if you've opened your eyes. Connect one and connect with the oneness of the chi field. Become one. Connect with your heart. Become aware of yourself being one with the chi field. Connect with the information of totality. Connect with your desire to change yourself in your heart. The indescribable vitality and the indescribable creativity. The desire to change yourself. Trust yourself. Trust heaven, earth, and human. They all are teachers with infinite wisdom. Go into your heart and open your Shinmen, the door to your heart. And love and trust all unconditionally. With gratitude in your heart. Feel the gratitude. And then tell yourself, with gratitude in my heart, I receive the love and care and the wisdom of heaven, earth, and humans. And you unify with the wisdom and their love. My Shen, Yi, and Shin are fully aligned with the light of Tao. With Gongqing, realization and wisdom are arising. I am one with the light of the wisdom of the universe. Now trust your heart, the best inquirer, and trust your Shen Yi, your Shen with its infinite potential and wisdom. It will respond. It will show you where your greed is and how you can replace it. It will show you how it has formated and been caused. And it will show you how you can help yourself, other humans, and the planet to improve and replace the pattern of greed. Allow your Shen to show you. Allow your heart to ask the right questions. Where am I greedy? How did I get to be this way? How can I change? Why would I still hold on to this and give it reasons to exist? And what is my intention to do with greed in my life? I also will be very courageous and will have a look at the possible negative effects in my life and maybe in the life of others if I don't change greed in my life. And what are the possible replacement informations? Full of courage, sink deeper and deeper into this honesty of yours. It will set you free. Trust it. Trust the information. And then affirm and accept with the 5 essential qualities one by one. Use this moment and allow your Shen to show you all you need to transform greed for yourself and everything and everyone else. If you've gone into deep state, stay there, and you can finish up yourself. Yuan Tong, Ling Ming.